everyone, and welcome to the Culture Cast. I am your host, Chris Stashew, and I am joined by my podcasting hero, the host of the projection booth, Mr. Mike White.
I am so glad to be here.
Are you?
Well,
I feel like that's a lie.
I'm glad to be here with you, Chris.
Sure. So we are continuing You've Never Seen September with a look at Joan Micklin Silver's Stepkids. And by that, I mean a film that actually didn't come out with that title. It came out with the title, Big Girls Don't Cry, ellipses, They Get Even.
It's the story of a lovely lady.
Once upon a time, my mom and dad got married and lived happily ever after. Yeah, right. Children, this is your modern fairy tale.
Would the mother and father of the girl raise your hand, please?
Oops, there's another one. Gotta be quick in this family. My dad's almost 40. Looks like he's 30. Thinks like he's 20 and acts like he's 10. He's fun to play board games with.
Right, what? That's news?
Next, Mom meets Keith Powers. He's a rich widower with 3 kids and 2 Porsches.
Sam, the printer broke down again.
So I get 2 stepbrothers. Josh, he's the nice one, and Kurt. My beloved stepsister Corinne.
I'm on the phone.
And of course, my half-brother Sam.
I tested it for dioxin. That doesn't clog your pores, does it?
Meanwhile, back in San Francisco, Dad gets lucky and marries Barbara.
Hi, darling. Must be a bad connection. Is that better?
And eventually, I have a half-sister, Jessica.
Jesse, you remember me.
Lucky guess.
Meet Stephanie.
Hi, everybody.
I just did.
You're so sweet. What are you doing in this family?
I know what you're thinking. We're like the Brady Bunch from hell.
That's disgusting. You just spit on my hand.
But you don't do anything, right, Melinda?
I'm a mother.
Do you love your daddy?
Damn straight.
Did you know it's estimated by the year 2000, 1 out of every 3 people will be a member of my family?
So, no, the film is not a weird 80s revenge film, which the title would convince you otherwise. It is a quirky family comedy. Like I mentioned, it's directed by Joan Micklin Silver. It's written by Frank Mugavero and Mark and Melissa Goddard. It stars a ton of people, but the kind of notable faces are Griffin, Dunne, David Strathairn, Adrienne Shelley. Yes, Adrienne Shelley. We'll talk about her being murdered, unfortunately. Ben Savage and Hilary Wolf. Yes, what is she, the sister from Home Alone, I think?
Yeah.
Forgive me, I've never seen Home Alone.
I haven't either. I've only seen the end credits about 1,000 times.
Yeah, that's just one of those movies like I have no interest in watching. Weird, right?
Something, filthy
animals. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Great. So, in keeping with You've Never Seen September, which, yes, if you've listened to the first 2 episodes of this month, you'll know that I am co-opting Mike Father Malone Wallace's name of his YouTube channel. This is his month. What did you think of this film, Mike, which I know you'd never seen?
I was so excited when the movie started and I saw that this was a Joan Micklin Silver joint, that Griffin Dunne was in it, because I'm a big fan of Chilly Scenes of Winter. I love Joan Micklin Silver, some of her early stuff like Crossing Delancey, Hester Street, Between the Lines. I was just like, oh, this is fantastic. I didn't even know that this movie existed. And then the movie started. And, yeah. I got a lot of exposition in a very short time from a very precocious young lady, and then it just kind of continued to go downhill from there.
Yeah, so I'm going to preface this whole thing by saying there is one specific reason I picked this movie, and this is going to be a little bit of a long-winded story, and I've told you this story before, Mike.
And I remember it.
Yeah, you do. So when I was a kid in the 90s, so I'm dating myself here, there were these things called VHSs. They were a piece of plastic that had tape inside, and you had to rewind them to watch movies. And I had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze VHS. It was a black VHS with with a green label and black text, and it said Secret of the Ooze. And I used to watch it all the time. I can quote that movie. I still quote that movie with my mom all the time. I love that movie. I know it's not the best movie, but again, just because you love something doesn't mean it's great. It doesn't have to be. And I remember watching the VHS all the time, but there were a set of 3 advertisements for our friends over the pond that played before the movie. The first one was for Burger King Kids Club, which is not a thing anymore, but in the 90s, there were some children cartoon characters that would try to sell children Burger King food with toys. Burger King Kids Club was the equivalent of a Happy Meal. Then there was a preview for the Hulk Hogan magnum opus Suburban Commando, which is a much better film than it sounds, primarily because of the interplay between Christopher Lloyd and Hulk Hogan. I know we did an episode on it on the Culture Cast. It happened so long ago, it's almost not worth digging up, but if you want to go and watch it, I believe or listen to it, it's like our 3rd episode. And then the third preview, or advertisement, was for Step Kids. And, oh god damn it, what's the name? The preview for the film Step Kids, now titled Big Girls Don't Cry when it eventually came out, featured the song I'm Free by Soup Dragons.
Oh, yeah. Talking about the Manchester scene, baby.
Yeah. I'm free to do what I want any old time. And look, that's a great song. It's
a cover of the Rolling Stones.
Exactly. It's one of those covers that is almost better than the song it covers, which the Rolling Stones have a propensity to have their songs covered by bands that cover their songs better than they play them originally. Cough, cough, Devo, I Can't Get No Satisfaction, which may be the penultimate, if not ultimate, cover of any song ever. It is amazing. But the Soup Dragons cover of I'm Free is in the trailer, and it's got like a frenetic pace to it, and it does a much better job of introducing and explaining the characters than the film does. But it was seared into my memory. And so when we were coming up on this month about weird 90s comedies that you've never seen, I was like, I really want to track this movie down and find it. Turns out it wasn't that hard to find, but on that Turtles VHS, it was advertised as Step Kids. And then it's, transmorgified into Big Girls Don't Cry, They Get Even, which is a terrible title for a film.
Yeah.
It is just a mouthful and then some.
I had way different expectations.
Like, the title almost, like I said, it makes it sound like a fucking I spit on your grave. Or something weird. Like, it's not... The title does not track with what the film is. The film is a comedy drama, so it's like a weird family dramedy about a girl who's fed up with how dysfunctional her family is, and so she has a stepmom, a stepdad, a girl that her dad is dating, and some stepbrothers and sisters and half brothers and sisters. And like you said, the beginning of the film, it's like boom, 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 like Aaron Sorkin fucking rapid fire exposition. Because it's got to get all this exposition out of the way. And the crazy thing is they have that in the trailer. Like that exact same scene is in the trailer. Like that whole scene at the beginning of the film where she's like, and I just met her, and my stepsister Corinne. It's like very rapid fire. And I would almost go out on a limb and say, if you watch the trailer for the movie, it's much more entertaining than the film ends up being.
When they have to stop and do that at least one other time when there's the cop that's involved, and he's like, you're married to him, and he's married to her, and you two...
were married at one point.
Right. And I'm like, okay, is this like a catch-up kind of a point here?
Yeah, so it's in the grand vein of films like, I don't know, Parenthood. I mean, I don't, that's the thing, I'm trying to figure out what films this is like. It feels like a half-baked John Hughes movie. And I know how much you love Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but the character in this film, played by Hilary Wolf, is almost like Ferris Bueller.
Yeah, she very is. I mean, especially the talking to the camera, breaking the fourth wall and whatnot. And I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, the fourth wall breaking is... Look, the fourth wall breaking, I know are you a fan of it in film?
If it's done well, sure.
Like, I actually really like it. I'm also one of those fucking weirdos that loves narration in movies, like, you know, from a character's point of view. Like, as much as I know this is going to take flack, I don't hate the Blade Runner version of the film with Deckard's narration.
I'm right there with you, buddy.
I don't hate it. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, like, the only issue I would say is that Harrison Ford is clearly dialing it in. Like, way phoning it in big time. He's like, I don't care. Fuck it. Whatever.
To me, I mean, I've never tracked with the idea that he's a replicant, but with that delivery, I'm like, yeah, he sounds kind of robotic to me, so maybe he is.
Yeah, maybe he sure is a robot. Whatever. Fine. And the thing about this film is it is very much a half-baked John Hughes film because you have Hilary Wolf as the kind of middle child who's the one that's having to deal with Is she the only actual child of the mom and dad?
That's what it seems like, yeah.
So she's the only... So there's the mom and the dad, played by Griffin Dunne and Margaret Whitten. And that's the mom and dad, and they have her character. And then they divorce... Then Griffin Dunne goes and marries Barbara, played by Patricia Calamber, and they have a daughter, a small daughter, and then he fucks around on her with Adrian Shelley, who plays like a aloof weirdo character. And then her mom goes and marries David Strathairn, and David Strathairn's wife died, but he had 3 sons, Kurt, played by Trenton Teagan, Sam, played by Ben Savage, yes, Ben Savage of Boy Meets World, and then Josh, the oldest, played by Dan Futterman. And she seems to be the only child that they had. And so she's the one who's feeling the pressure of this fucking family is crazy. And
right, and she's turning 16 and no one remembered that it was her birthday. Oh, wait, no, sorry.
Right, exactly. That's definitely not what it is, but it could have been, for all anyone knows who's listening to the podcast and hasn't seen the movie. No, they're going to Hawaii.
And they forget the little brother at the house. Actually, they forget her at the house.
Actually, they don't.
And they all go, oh, wait, yeah.
Like we've said, I mean, this feels like a half-baked John Hughes movie. She runs away to go with Josh, her stepbrother, and live on like a logging lake somewhere.
Yeah, it's a really nice lake.
Yeah.
Nice place. I wouldn't mind staying there for a while.
But she runs away, and so the whole family has to convene on this one location, and hilarity ensues as they all have to get along with each other. Except it's just not funny.
No, there's that weird relationship that her stepmom has. Not with... I don't even think it's like a biological sister. I don't even know how that goes. Like,
that's right, because there is... There's the daughter played by Jenny Lewis. Yes, Jenny Lewis of Rilo Kiley, of all things.
Oh, I just know her from Don's Plum, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know her as the front woman for Rilo Kiley, which is like
very nice.
A pretty well-known band. But she's in the movie, but whose kid is she?
I don't know.
Is she David Strathairn's daughter? I think that's what it is.
She's kind of a bitch on wheels.
Yeah, and then she gets her comeuppance and then isn't anymore. Look, the issue with this movie is there's too many characters, not enough characters get enough characterization, and a lot of them are just either punchlines or stereotypical, oh, this one's the nerd, oh, this one's the misunderstood weirdo military kid, oh, this one's the aloof brother, like...
Oh, you mean Chet? Oh, wait, no, that's not...
Yeah, right? I'm just confusing this with all films that are much better than this film. He wouldn't piss on your gums if they were on fire. That's not this movie. There is no clever writing in this film outside of when Hilary Wolf talks to the camera.
Yeah, and she bugs me. It's just like, okay.
Why does she bug you? She's too self-aware?
Too self-aware and just...
Smarmy?
Super smarmy, and just, I understand that she's not happy with her situation, but after a while it's just like, it's a little too much. You're bitching a little too much.
And like, you live in a nice house in LA. Yeah, your parents are aloof. I get it. But at the same time, like, this is all created and written by 3 people, and this was a construct that they made. This is not a real person's life. So you could have written something more interesting than just one character laughing while eating popcorn obnoxiously.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. There are way too many characters, and I don't really care about any of them.
No.
And then there's that whole weird thing where there's like kind of some free love stuff going on where Josh ends up going with the woman that Griffin Dunne impregnated. And I was like, wait, what?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This seems incestuous, even though it's not.
The stepbrother gets with his... What would he even be? I don't even know.
Right, because the stepbrother is... I mean, there's no blood between them.
No, technically none.
But it's just weird.
Yeah, and, you know, he ends up getting with Adrienne Shelley at the end of the film, which is Griffin Dunne's girlfriend, because he ends up getting back with Patricia Calamber. I don't understand.
All too simply. I mean, I know family dynamics, and all of these people just all of a sudden, within the span of a couple days, make up forever with all of their problems. And it's like, okay.
It might be that they're free to do what they want any old time.
Can I just say how handsome David Strathairn looks in this movie, especially when he's wearing that suit at the beginning. He's got that awesome beard going on here, and this is young David Strathairn, like no gray at all. He's just really looking fine.
Well, what about when he's wearing the vertical multicolored paneled shirt?
Well.
Boy, that's 90s. That is just like, that screams 90s. Like, beats you over the head with the fact that this film is from the 90s. Like it, and then you got Griffin Dunne with like a jean open shirt, and it's like he's like rocking the jean like overshirt and jeans. It's just like, okay, Denim Dan, like Jesus. What the biggest disappointment I have with this film is that there are really good actors in this film, and they're given nothing to do. Especially Griffin Dunne, who's amazing in After Hours. Like, I can't even begin to describe how amazing that film is if you've never seen it.
Oh, yeah, I love him. Though it was weird because, so Griffin Dunne always has very, very particular hair. He almost seems to always have the same haircut. And Dan Futterman is wearing almost the exact same haircut. So there were a lot of times where at a distance I'm like, is that Griffin Dunne or is that the other character? And then I would have to wait a few minutes to finally figure out who it was. I'm just like, why did you have them have the same haircut?
Yeah, I don't know. It's bizarre. And then on top of everything else, you have the plot with Hillary Wolf having run off, and then you have the plot of everybody back at the lake. And the plot back at the lake is more interesting than what's going on with her running off. Right. But they spend more time with her just kind of like, I guess, realizing that her family's not that bad is like the whole story you're being led to believe is going to be the one that they're going to be focusing on. And they kind of focus on it, but also, again, it just isn't that interesting.
Exactly. I kept looking at Adrienne Shelley and trying to figure out exactly who she looks like, because she was like a mashup of like an Arquette sister, Lauren Holly, and Heather Graham to me.
Right. So Adrienne Shelley, and I feel like we do need to talk about this a little bit. It's unfortunate because it's not the most pleasant thing to talk about. Adrienne Shelley, I believe in 2006, was murdered by her either then boyfriend or husband. And she's a pretty talented actress. She's not given much to do here, but I mean, I've seen her in Waitress, and Waitress is a perfectly fine film. You know, it's just, it's one of those things where this is like her fourth role, I believe. And if she was given more to do, her character is actually pretty interesting because she's like kind of the only real outsider to this whole family. And she just kind of seems to be put upon by having to be there. But also the way Griffin Dunne treats her is like completely bizarre.
Yeah, that was...
It's uncomfortable,
strange.
Right? Because he's like twice her age. Hillary Wolf says as much.
Yeah, it's not good.
No, I mean, and here's the thing. Look, I was kind of dreading talking about this movie in a way because there's not really much to talk about. It's not a good movie. It's actually a very bad movie, which is unfortunate because, again, the way I saw the trailer when I was a kid, watching the trailer now, the trailer is a much more entertaining film than the actual film ends up being.
Well, I'll have to go back and watch the trailer because I can't imagine. I mean, if this movie was like even like an hour shorter, it'd probably be a lot better.
If the film was an hour shorter, if the film was 30 minutes long.
If the film was 2 minutes long and had a Soup Dragons track over it, it would probably be pretty good.
Boom, boom, ba 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 ba. Like, yeah, that's all.
Don't be afraid of your freedom.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Fucking that is a much better movie than the actual movie ended up being. And again, that is the disappointment that I'm feeling here because I'm like kind of disappointed. I mean, it's one of those things where like I remembered it so much growing up that I was like, maybe it's like a hidden gem, like people don't know about it, but it's a good movie. Like you mentioned, because you said, oh, I'm watching this movie that maybe is some great thing. And then it's like, nope, nobody remembers it because it's not very good. And it's kind of boring and it's a narrative mess. And none of the characters are particularly interesting, even though they have really well-known character actors and actors behind them.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember because you were totally right when it came to parenthood and that there's a lot of parenthood in there. I want to say there's a movie called, was it Where the Heart Is? The one with Dabney Coleman, maybe? God, this is driving me nuts because it seems like there was another movie out right around the same time where it was like a whole bunch of people and doing all their thing. Let's see. 1990, Where the Heart Is, hard-driving businessman Stuart McBain demolishes old buildings to make room for the new, but when he tries to blow up a Brooklyn tenement, his redevelopment plans get him into trouble with a group of civic activists, and also earn the criticism of his coddled children, Daphne, Jimmy, and Chloe. No, I guess it's not that many people, so... Totally wrong.
I just think it really is a John Hughes movie without John Hughes writing it.
Yeah. John Hughes flavor.
Yeah, John Hughes could have actually written a film like this and it'd been rather successful. I honestly believe. But like, and here's the weird thing is like it's billed as a comedy, but it's not funny.
No, I didn't laugh at all.
No. Like, and that in and of itself is the disappointment. Is if it's going to be a comedy, you need to have some semblance of humor or subversiveness to the relationships. And like you said, there is the whole free love thing, but it's not played for laughs. It's played serious. And it just feels very half-baked. Like you need to maybe go through the script a couple more times, cut it down, rewrite some scenes, maybe cut out some characters that didn't need to be there, maybe put more Soup Dragons in the movie, maybe there's like a Soup Dragons concert at the end, and they're all like dancing along to I'm Free, maybe just cut the movie apart entirely and do like a Stop Making Sense film about Soup Dragons. Maybe just do that instead, because what we ended up getting is a film that's just a bunch of adults standing around going, yeah, kids are weird, huh? And then all the kids are going, adults are weird, huh? And then one kid is going, I'm the one who knows that this is a movie. Would you like for me to talk to the screen and tell you how weird kids and adults are? And that's the movie. So
if you're wondering whatever became of Hillary Wolf, did you read about her entire judo career?
I did. It was so bizarre. And then like there's like a YouTube video of her like being interviewed, like what's ostensibly like in her house, and she's just like talking about her career and like I was in Home Alone, but I also did judo. Like what the fuck? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, just a few years after this, she went to the Olympic judo team. Okay.
Yeah. And so she retired from acting in 1992. She was in not a whole lot, but again, she is really well known for her time on Home Alone. This film actually came out the same year as Home Alone 2, so Home Alone 2 is her final credit, then this is her second to last credit, and Home Alone, the original, is her third to last credit. So, I mean, again, if the three movies that you're in, two of them are Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2, and then this is the third one, like, I mean, it's not all bad, right?
No. Hopefully she's getting, some checks.
Some of those hot Home Alone residuals. Because she's not getting any residuals from Step Kids, a.k.a. Big Girls Don't Cry, They Get Even. Which, again, I would like to point out, why they changed the name of the film from Step Kids to Big Girls Don't Cry, They Get Even. How did she get even? What does that even mean?
Yeah, she really didn't get even with anybody.
No. She ended up completely compromising herself in the end?
Yeah, and she was with the criminals for a little while. I was like, what is happening here?
Yeah, it's just, there's a lot of half-baked ideas in the film as it is, and I just wonder if someone hadn't just looked at the script and said, we need to kind of cut some of this down, cut some of this out, maybe give the characters a little bit more time to breathe as characters, give them kind of more interesting back and forths. I mean, the mom is essentially just like a stereotypical rich, pampered mom, and like that's not really a character. So there's like a lot of stuff in this movie that's just like, it's not a character, it's a one-dimensional idea of a character. And I think that for me is the biggest disappointment of the film, is that there is this idea that because it's a ensemble cast, you could have something interesting come from all the characters being together on screen, but nothing ends up coming of it, and that's for me the biggest disappointment.
There's a lot to be disappointed in this movie.
Yeah, there sure is, isn't there? Oh, dearie dear. So what would you give the film out of 5, Mike?
Ooh, probably 1.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 1 as well, which is, again, for me, it's a huge disappointment because I was, honest to God, honestly, was hoping it was going to be something special. It's not. So don't watch it unless you already did watch it. And if you did, well, you're here now, so sorry. So let's take a break and we'll play a preview for the next Culture Cast.
Give me the keys, Mike.
Chevy Chase.
Hey, you just passed the Garden State Parkway South.
Don't worry, I'll get you there.
Demi Moore.
Oh, no, cop.
Driver, step outside the car, please.
John Candy.
Redham? Yeah, that's nice, thanks. The lower back, please. I got an itch right up in there. It's good, thank you. Not today, sir. This may be Valkenvania, but it is still America. And wouldn't mind, would you just write a ticket here, or we could settle it some other way, perhaps?
That's not the way things work around here.
What is this place?
Revolving District Court for the Village and Shire of Valkenvania is now in order. The Honorable Reeve Alvin Vulcanizer presides.
Dan Aykroyd.
Put out that dog rocket!
Nothing but trouble.
So sorry.
Hey, you know, you and I ought to spend a little more time together.
I'd like that.
Would you?
Welcome to the last resort.
You look pretty this evening, sister. Doing something different with your hair?
Where something's always cooking.
How about a nice Hawaiian punch?
We're some good friends.
Okay, let's eat.
Where someone's always shaken. And anything's better than house policy.
What's house policy? Whatever man touches her's the one she keeps. What?
All they wanted
Oh, no, wait a minute. I just went through a damn stoplight.
was a little getaway.
I think the two of you'd make a perfect couple.
You make this surprise.
No, not in front of all these people, Your Honor.
Now.
All they got was nothing but trouble.
That's right, on the next Culture Cast, we are taking a look at our final film of You've Never Seen September, a film that is going to be infinitely more entertaining than this film and is infinitely more bizarre. We're going to be talking about the Dan Aykroyd directed and starring in garbage can classic Nothing But Trouble. It also has Chevy Chase and Demi Moore in it, and John Candy, and Jesus H. Christ, it is a mess. I will be joined by the co-host of the one-season show, Jess Byard, and we're going to be talking about that nightmare. I suggest you watch the film and join us because, oh dear, Nothing But Trouble is a film that we're going to be having a lot of things to talk about. I guarantee you that. Until then, what have you been up to at the projection booth, Mike?
Well, just kind of chugging along, doing Chucktember in September, and then we've got Shocktober coming up in October, where we're covering kind of a wide variety of things. We're going to be talking about World War Z, Dead Heat, the Joe Piscopo classic. Also talking about Fade to Black with Dennis Christopher. So yeah, we're kind of all over the map with stuff.
And what was your most recent episode?
So like I said, we are in September. The most recent one was one from 1969 called The Joke, which is about a guy who makes a joke at the wrong time, which is when the communists are in charge, and pretty much ruins his entire life.
He started a joke that started the whole world laughing.
You know, that's the song that I used to close out the episode.
I didn't, but I mean, I love that song, so...
It's a fantastic song. I even used the Faith No More cover.
Nice. Because Faith No More is better than Red Hot Chili Peppers. Fucking fight me on it.
I would never think to disagree with that.
Yeah. Well, that's because Anthony Kiedis is a heroin addict, so... Or so the lead singer for Faith No More said. And that's why that whole beef started. So
well, he totally was a heroin.
I know. I mean, it's not like he was saying anything false. But,
right. I mean, Under the Bridge, that whole thing is about that.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
But some people, I don't know. I think Red Hot Chili Peppers are just overplayed.
Oh, speaking of Under the Bridge, Jesus Christ, that song.
Am I right? Under the Bridge downtown, bro. You want to hear that song a million fucking times? Oh good Lord.
I mean, I can't blame the Red Hot Chili Peppers for radio stations overplaying their song, but it was still a pretty bad song.
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame them for enjoying the lap of luxury that they live in because they write generic pop music.
It's funk, bro.
Oh, sorry. Higher Ground is the only thing that they've done that I actually like, and that's just a cover.
Yeah.
But anyways, you can find me on a couple podcasts. I do one with you, Mike, called the Kolchak Tapes.
You do?
I do. I actually do another one with you called Dreams for Sale, where we talk about Twilight Zone 1985. I do another podcast with the aforementioned Jess Byard, where we talk about shows that only lasted one season. That is the one season show. And I do another podcast with our friend in Christ, Father Malone, and that is Chronicles from the Crypt, where we talk about Tales from the Crypt. You know, the show on HBO with the puppet that scared you as a kid, probably. So you can find those. On all podcatchers, just look up the name. Big thanks as always, or hold on, no, I'm just getting ahead of myself. You can find the Culturecast you can find the Culturecast at culturecast.com or on all podcatchers, both iOS and Android. You find links over to iTunes where you can rate and review the show as well as to our Patreon, where we've got a couple new supporters. So thank you for being a supporter of the show. Patrons get access to some unreleased episodes. There will be some more stuff forthcoming, so please, if you want to give us money to do what we do and do it very well, if you think we do it well, give us some money. That's your choice, not mine, or continue to listen. Either way, either works. Big thanks as always to _91 for Thunderous, which is the music for the Culturecast. We'll catch you on the next episode.